Hi, I'm Debbie and welcome to Book and Bujo, where I talk about all things books, bullet journals, and stationery. Today I am starting a new series of all of my favorite things. We are starting out with notebooks. All right, notebooks. I love notebooks. I have a whole collection of them. I love them, use them every day. So let's talk about some of my favorite notebooks. So we're going to start with the smallest notebooks to the largest notebooks that I have that I use and love. So first off is the little passport size notebooks. This one is from Archer and Olive and it is a craft paper notebook, which if we're talking paper, this is my least favorite paper to use. I like it for accents and decoration and little bits and bobs. I do not like it as a full journal, which I didn't find out till this year when I used a craft paper journal for 6 months and realized I do not like them. But that's all right. I do like the passport size. So this one I typically use for my yearly collections. You probably saw me set this one up in one of my earlier videos, and I will leave that linked up in the cards and down below for you. So I have started 2023, my word of the year, things like that in here, year at a glance, my lunar calendar for the year for a quick little cheat sheet, when did I last, so I remember when I last changed my mascara, my toothbrush, when we changed the batteries and the smoke detectors, things like that. That's what I use these ones for. Yeah, so that's what I like about the little passport size. Mainly just a quick little jotting down notes and things that I want for each month and throughout the year, and also goals that are overarching throughout multiple months or throughout the entire year. So I do like the passport journals. Next up, we have what I typically use for my menu planning and grocery shopping, and that is a little traveler's size notebook. I do really like the cover that I found, and this was, I actually turned it inside out because it has their name on there. It's the AI Natebook, AI Natebook. So I will leave this link down below in case you're interested. And so basically it's a little, like a traveler's journal, and it has these little things that holds multiple journals and stuff in here. So for this one, I have a place to put coupons. I have a place, like if I'm going to Costco, I need to put my Costco card in here, a pencil or a pen if I need it. And then I have my lined journals of these little inserts that go in here, and I will leave everything linked down below in case you're interested. Some of them are affiliate links, so I do get a commission if you purchase from there. If you prefer not to go that route, at least the information is there in case you would like to go find it someplace else or on your own. So you just slide your notebooks into here, and you can have multiple ones, and then it makes it really handy to take to the store. And I've had a lot of people ask in the past how I do my menu planning, and because I plan all of my menus, all of my meals for the week for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and sometimes snacks depending on what I'm making. And then I have my grocery list. I have the basic plan down here as well. And then I basically go to the grocery store and I shop from my list, which, you know, sometimes you walk by and you're like, ooh, that's new. What's that? I want to see that. So you grab some things, but I do my best to stick to a budget and stay to my grocery list. Don't always make it, but that's what I do try and do that. So there's that. If you're interested in that, I can do a video just on how I do my menu planning and grocery shopping and all of that. Next up, I haven't used this one yet, but this is the Tomoe River paper notebook. It is lined because I do tend to do, for this one, it would be something I would use for journaling, maybe my devos, something like that. So that's what this one is. And I did get this one from Goulet Pens. and the paper is just so smooth. It is so fountain pen friendly, and this notebook is actually from before they changed the formula for their paper, so I'm kind of holding off on using this one because it's hard to find this paper anymore. Next up, what I use to take notes, to jot down ideas, to doodle, just something that's on my desk that I use when I have a random thought that pops into my mind and all of that. It's actually the Archer and Olive. You can tell it's just about empty. I actually have another one coming in. I think it's supposed to be delivered today. So it's their notepad, the A5 size. And this one is actually the Neapolitan one. So you have the white paper and you have the black paper and then the craft paper as well. And this is the type of thing where I like having the craft paper because I can do a little doodle or a note, a header, anything like that. I can cut it out and then glue it into my bullet journal, and I do like it that way. This is very well loved. I have not much left in here. And one thing I actually like about this, it actually has like little screws here on the side, and you can actually loosen those and tighten those. So you could actually take all of this section out and then reuse this for something else if you wanted to, or if you have a couple of them that are running low, you can actually combine them into just one, which I didn't realize that, but it's actually really cool. One day it was actually getting really loose and I tightened that up, and then I kind of was like, wait, what is that? So it's kind of cool. Just another use you can use for that. And then also when it's a little fuller, not when it's quite so empty like this one, but when you are at the front of your bullet journal and it kind of does that weird kind of side thing and it doesn't quite lay flat, you could put this underneath it and have it here and then have it be the same height as the rest of your notebook. So another thought. So let's give you a quick little example. So yeah, when you're in the front of your journal and it sits like this on your desk, you could put this here and then that props it up to be the same height. All right, so next up, what is my favorite journal for bullet journaling? Well, currently it is the Archer and Olive A5 dot grid notebook. So I do really like the Archer and Olive notebooks. They have amazing front covers and they do a lot of the sprayed edges, which are beautiful. And I do love that this one, it's hard to find the silver. So they have a lot of gold. Most of the silver tends to be on the Blackout pages, which is kind of interesting too. But this one actually had the silver on the front and the sides, which I thought was amazing. I love that it comes with a pen loop and that it comes with the band to keep it closed, especially if you have, like me, sometimes you shove a lot of stuff in there or you put a lot of extra stuff and it makes it harder for things to close. That helps a lot. Personally, for me, the pocket at the back, I don't really use much. If I do something where I'm going to trace a picture or something in my bullet journal, and you do the pencil on the back and then you trace it and then you can color it in later. Sometimes I'll put those in here, but otherwise, to me, the pocket is not something I use. If I have stickers and things like that, I actually have a drawer on my desk and that's where I keep them. I don't really keep them in my bullet journal, so personally, that doesn't bother me whether I have that or not. And then they do have the nice dot grid pages. It's kind of hard to see in here. My lighting's kind of funky today. So the dot grid pages, they do not have numbers on the pages, which I know for some people that's a major con, but for me, it doesn't really matter. I don't keep an index and I don't worry about the page numbers. If there's a specific section that I want to reference back and forth, I either put like a little post-it note at the top that has just like a little tag sticking up at the top, so basically like a little flag that I put on there so I can easily flip to it, or I use one of the bookmarks for it. So I use one bookmark for the month I'm on at the time, and the other one I use for pages I want to reference later. And if there's multiple ones, of course, I just do like an annotating flag on it. So I love that they are 160 GSM pages, which is the thickness of the paper, and they're not really coated, so everything kind of seeps into the pages a little bit, which for the most part doesn't really bother me because I don't do a lot of watercoloring or heavy brush pen coloring. So I usually don't have any issues with that. Sometimes it can bleed through if you're getting a little heavy-handed with the watercolors, but otherwise it works really well for me. So having a light coating on there does help keep things a little bit on the top of the page instead of seeping in, but then there's a lot longer drying time of whatever pen or watercolor you use. So just keep that in mind. And again, for my bullet journal, I do like the A5 size as opposed to like the traveler's journal size, which is the same height, but it is smaller, or the passport size. These I like for notes and other things like that, but for my bullet journal, I need just a little bit more room. So, and then an example, I do prefer the white paper over the black and the craft paper. Again, there are some advantages to the craft paper. So one of the favorite themes that I've done so far, and it turned out, and I think part of the reason it's my favorite is because of the craft paper, and that was my July 2022 theme. And I think that just worked so well with the craft paper as the background. And here's another one. It's like nature, even in death, nature finds a way to keep going. One of the things I didn't like about it is the colors just don't show up as well on the craft paper as they do on white paper. So it made it a lot harder. It's like the blues just, everything's just a little darker and more muted. It's not as vibrant and true to the colors. There are some that are pretty good. So like my Ohuhu dual tip markers, the colors are pretty good on the craft paper, but some of the other ones just not quite the same. So again, this is another Archer and Olive, and this one did not have any kind of sprayed edges or anything, but the cover is very beautiful. Okay, so moving up to another size. So this is a time where you can tell when it's nice to have the band to go around everything because it's pretty full. But this one is my favorite for reading journals. So this is the 8x8 square notebook from Archer and Olive, and let's give you a reference here. So they're pretty much the same height, but again, this one's a bit wider. And it's square. Again, it is the white dot grid pages. I like that you can fit a lot more on the pages, and so it makes it easier to do some of my spreads, especially like with my TBR game. It actually fits on the page, where on my A5 notebook it didn't fit near as well. Yeah, here's another one where I did my game and then also Becca's Bookopoly. And you can still have a lot of fun with the pages, filling out spreads and reading trackers for different readathons that I was doing. So I just really like the amount of room that's on all the pages. Especially for readathons where you have a lot of prompts and you need to pick books that fit the prompts. This size notebook fits really well with that. And again, this one's Archer and Olive, and so it's got a pocket back here. It comes with a pen loop. It's got the band to go around to keep your notebook closed, and any paraphernalia that you may have inside. Okay, next up is another Archer and Olive notebook that came in one of the subscription boxes. I believe it was December of 2019. Might have been December 2020. I think in December 2020 maybe. And this one is a Blackout notebook. And this is actually the one I'm using right now for my reading journal. And again, I do really like the Blackout paper. You can have a lot of fun, especially if you have gel pens and other pens that show up well on black paper, which they tend to get used up a little quicker in my opinion with the pens themselves, like the vibrant gel pens. I feel like I go through them a lot faster, and so when I do the Blackout paper, then whatever I'm using for it is gone faster. And this one's more of not quite paper size. It's right about, I think it's more like 8 by 10 as opposed to 8.5 by 11. I do really like this size for my reading journal. And to give an example, so this one is 8 by 8. So yeah, so it's 8 and then by 10 this direction. And then to show you with bullet journal, yeah, so this size works really well for my reading journal as well. So I'm pretty happy with either of these sizes for that. I think I still prefer kind of this size. This one's just a little bit big just to carry around with me, where this one's just a little bit easier, manageable size. So Archer and Olive comes with more of like the linen covers like this one here. So they have the linen covers, they have and the vegan leather is the main two different types of covers that they have. And I don't have a preference one way or the other. I go more by the icon on the front than what the cover is. So that's not necessarily a deciding factor for me, but for a lot of people it is. So the next size up that I have is a B5 journal, and this one I use for my morning devotions. And this one is an M. Shoy, and it comes in this beautiful sage green. It comes in a whole bunch of different colors. There's white and black, and there's like a burgundy and blues, and so it comes in a bunch of different colors. But it is a B5, so it's 7.5 by 10. So I'll show you with the A5 journal, and then also with the 8 by 8. So I don't know if you can tell, the square journal is a little bit longer or a little bit wider, and this one's just that much taller. And then here's the 8 by 10. So this one is just a tad longer or a tad wider than this one is. And so I needed a lined journal, and I wanted one that would last me for a year, if possible, for doing my daily devotionals. And this one again has the band. It did not come with a pen loop. I added the pen loop on there, which is fine with me. I'm learning to be okay with that. It does have a pocket, which for me, again, I don't really care one way or the other. It did come with some annotating flags as well, in case you want to use those in your journal. It does have a place to put the date on the top on both sides of the page, and it is numbered right here on both sides. So in case that's something that you're interested in. So like for me, if I wanted to say, okay, this is where January started, February, March, I could do that at the front. So it has a place to put your name and other information down the bottom. And these first pages, so it's a soft leather on the cover, and it has more of a cardstock here as kind of your starting page, which is your nameplate page. One thing that I do really like about this notebook, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but the lines aren't actually lines. They're actually a bunch of dots that go across the page, which is kind of cool. I do like that. And then it does have a hard line at the bottom and then a hard line at the top for your margins. And then you're able to write, it goes basically from one side all the way to the other. There's no side margins. It's just the top and bottom margins, which I actually do enjoy, because sometimes just having those side margins just take up too much space, and you lose so much space in your journal. So my favorite thing about this journal, oh my goodness, the pages are so smooth. I use a fountain pen with my daily devotionals, and it just is like buttery smooth writing with my fountain pen across the page. And oh, this paper is just so smooth. And the last journal I had with this, or one of the last ones I had a couple years ago, oh man, the paper was just normal, everyday paper that you would find in any notebook you get for school. And it just, I could not use my fountain pens on it. It just was so scratchy and just not a good experience. And oh, it does also come with to bookmarks, just like all the other journals. But yeah, it wasn't a nice writing experience. This, from the first time I put pen to this paper, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so smooth and this is so beautiful and I love it. So it is 100 GSM, so I wouldn't use like watercolor or Sharpies or anything like that on this paper, but it does work fine for fountain pens. The Staedtler dual tip markers, I actually also use those, as well as the Staedtler fine liners, and those work great. And it does have 204 pages, so it's got a lot of pages in there, and which is great. So it'll last you, if you write a lot, it may not last you as long, but if you're just like a normal everyday writer where you just journal a page or less each day, this could last you almost a full year. So I love this notebook. This is one of my new favorite notebooks for lined paper. And I'm not sure if they come in a dot or graph paper. I'll leave it linked down below in case you want to check it out, just to see if it comes in other styles besides just lined. All right, and then the last notebook I have, which is the largest one, I actually have two of these. They both came from subscription boxes from Archer and Olive, and this one I loved. The other one I'm not a huge fan of, but I will figure out something to use it for. So this one was in the Journey Travelers subscription box. I believe I only had the subscription box for a year in 2020. It's either 2019 or 2020. I can't remember now. It's been a while, but this is one that came in that subscription box. And again, it does have the pen loop. It has the little charm, ampersand charm, and the 2 ribbon bookmarks, the band. And it is, but this one is a lined notebook. And so originally I was just like, a lined notebook, what am I gonna do with that? And I was like, oh yeah, I can use it for my devotionals. So this worked really well in the mornings when I did my little Bible studies, and I would have the month and the memory verse I had that month on the cover page, and then I would just write my notes from whatever my devotional was from that morning. And this actually worked so well for it, and this isn't one I really travel with. I keep it on my desk, so the size was actually just fine. It worked out great. It pretty much lasted me, pocket at the back, it lasted me almost the whole year. So I believe, let's see, oh no, yeah, it did. It lasted me from March 2022 through February of 2023, which is great. So my next one I started March of this year, and I'm hoping it'll take me through at least January of next year, but I'm pretty sure it'll take me through all the way through March, because I usually get multiple days on one page. So that's my other favorites. So the other one I have of this is teal, which is not my favorite color, and it is a dot grid, which for bullet journaling, this size is way too big. Even for my reading journal, this size is bigger. So here's what I am currently using for my reading journal, and it's just that much bigger. So this one's pretty much an 8.5 by 11. So you can see just overall a little bit bigger, and this one's more of an 8 by 10. The extra ½ inch this way and the extra inch this way really does make a big difference for something that I'm taking with me places, especially if I'm traveling or any of that kind of stuff. It's just, it's a little big for that. Having it on my desk is fine. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to use that one for. I may end up using it for my reading journal and just using it up for that, which is kind of what I did with this one. I'm like, what am I going to do with this one? Just because it is the blackout paper and it is kind of an awkward size, but it ended up working out fine for my reading journal. So the other one might work fine too. But then again, my mom loves teal, as does my sister. So I may gift it to them, one of them as well, and see if it's something they would use. But neither of them will use the dot grid journals. So we'll just see what I do with it. Okay, so what notebooks would I like to try? You probably already saw my stationery haul that I did a little bit ago, and I will leave that linked up in the cards and also down in the description box below. But I've always been admiring, there's so many other notebook companies out there besides just Archer and Olive, although they are amazing and I love all their products. but I would like to try some others. And so one that I did get and can't wait to try for next year is Notebook Therapies journals. So they have the beautiful icons on the front, but they also have them on the side. They have amazing stenciled edges that are decorative and not just one color. This one is more of a gold, which isn't my favorite, but that's just beautiful. I had to get it. It also has the band. It has a pocket at the back, although these ones do come with a fun little paper clip in the back as well, which is awesome. But it does not come with a pen loop. But that's okay because I found pen loops that I can just stick in here and then voila! You'll have a pen loop. So I'm very excited to try the Notebook Therapy. There's so many stationery companies out there and I want to try them all and I want to try all the notebooks, but I only use so many a year as well. So I'm trying to pace myself and just stick to a budget where I can only buy so many a year, and especially until I use up what I have, which for the most part, all my A5 notebooks, I've pretty much used up everything I have. I think I have one Blackout notebook and one white page notebook left. So I felt like I was okay with getting another one of these because I didn't want to use another Blackout paper next year because I used that this year for the entire year for my reading journal. So I thought I'd save on the Blackout notebook and use that in 2025 instead. So basically all of the notebooks that I have, you can pretty much use any brush pens, you can use any gel pens, you can use watercolor in all of them except for maybe this one because it's only 100 GSM. So you will probably definitely get ghosting and possibly some bleed through depending on how much water you use. So I think oil pastels would probably be a little better, but since this is such smooth paper, I think those would just get smudged really easily. But otherwise, your typical pens, ballpoint pens, gel pens, brush pens, all of those would work on any of these notebooks. Calligraphs, acrylic paint pens, like the acrylographs from Archer and Olive, any of those would work amazingly with all of these notebooks. Pencils work great as well. The Blackout paper, I have found that the pink colored mechanical pencils work amazing. They erase really well, so you don't even see them, but they show up really well on the paper as well. So when you're outlining something and then you're going to go back through and use a gel pen or something over the top of it, it basically covers it up so you don't see it, but you can also see where you want to draw your lines. And I can show you an example. So I just started setting up my November bullet journal, and I know the lighting in here is really weird right now, but yeah, with the pink, you can see really well. You can see even better in person, but you can see it really well to be able to see what you want to then draw with the gel pens. And with just a regular pencil, the darker lead, it's really hard to see depending on your lighting. You have to have really bright lighting in order to see it on here. So the pink mechanical pencils work amazing. So I haven't tried, I like the dot grid across the board for most everything I do except for my menu planning and my devotionals, and then I like the lined paper. I have not tried the graph paper. I do want to try that because I think that would work really well across the board as well for my bullet journal and for the notebooks that I use lined. For devotionals and journaling, I think I would still use a lined paper, but for my meal planning and grocery lists, I do want to try the graph paper for that one because I think it would work really well. But I also think graph paper would work fairly well for bullet journaling as well, depending on how dark the lines are for the graph paper. If they're light enough, I think they would work amazing. So if you're not a huge fan of the dot grid, you like the functionality of the dot grid, if you want to draw your own stuff, create your own lines, all of that, but you also like to journal in your bullet journal and the dots just are too much or not enough for creating straight lines when you're writing, then the graph paper would probably work really well for you. So let's see if I can hold all of these up. Okay, one of each size. So these are my favorite things for notebooks. So this one is the Archer and Olive. It's kind of that 8.5 by 11 size lined paper that I use for my devotionals. This one is the B5 size, And that one is also lined. I use for my devotionals as well because I need a different one each year. But I really liked using this one, especially since it's a hardcover, and this one's a soft, which I do like the soft as well. I'm not too picky about that, and these are heavier than I thought they would be. An example of blackout paper, I do really enjoy using the blackout paper, maybe just not all the time. So doing it for 6 months and then have white paper for the other 6 months, because I do like using my brush pens and other colors and stuff that don't show up on the blackout paper. And then A5 journals I love for most everything. I do prefer that mostly for my bullet journals. And then I do like the A5 notepads, just for jotting notes and things like that while I'm at my desk. Notes and ideas and doodles and whatever else. That is great. And then I like that it's perforated, so you can actually use it in your journals as well. I've used them as tip-ins in my journals to create extra pages, and if I just needed some more room, I've used those. And then I do like the traveler size notebooks for my meal planning and grocery lists. And then I love the passport size, again, for quick notes, and then also for my yearly collections, because they don't need to take up a whole lot of space, and I want something quick and easy that I can just shove on my desk that's kind of in a little hidey hole, because I just pull it out maybe once a week, once a month sometimes. Don't need it all of the time. So these are some of my favorite notebooks, and I would love to find out what is some of your favorite notebooks and how do you use them. Do you like lined or dot or graph paper better? Do you like numbered pages? Do you prefer a pen loop? Do you love that there's a pocket, or do you really not care that there's a pocket at the back of your notebook? I don't really care. So what's your favorite notebook size and shape? Do you like a square notebook? Do you like letter size? Do you like A5, B5? Do you have no idea what I'm talking about? That's okay too. So I would love to find out. Let me know down in the comments. And stay tuned for the rest of my series for my favorite things, stationery, when I talk about pens, all kinds of pens, pencils, and then accessories as well, different types of erasers, the pen loops, add-ins, and washi tape, and things like that that you use in your journals. So stay tuned for this new series coming up, and please like, comment, and subscribe if you want it, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any videos from me. And until next time, keep reading. Bye!